Beardy, would pure water, distilled water, have less microplastics in it? Well, it depends how you're buying the distilled water. If you're distilling water at home, then at the end of your distillation process, you have H2O, nothing else in it. If you're buying distilled water in a plastic bottle, then it's going to have the same issue with microplastics that every bottled drink, not just water, by the way, and this is, I'm going to come on to this in a minute, but we only hear about water. No, it would have the same potential risk, depending on the grade of plastics, that other drinks in plastic bottles would have. So the second part of your question, how do you get minerals without getting microplastics? Right. So my offering in this conversation was putting my money where my mouth is, every penny I had, by the way, and a lot more than what I had, into Crag Spring Water reusable glass bottles, so that people can enjoy beautiful natural mineral spring water in a beautiful glass bottle without putting it in the bin after a single use, because in my opinion, single-use glass is a bigger environmental offender than single-use plastic, but we only hear about single-use plastic. Glass should only be a reusable vessel. It should never be single-use, because you could use a glass bottle 1,000 times, and that's what we do. We don't use them 1,000 times, but we get about 40 trips per bottle on average, and that is, in my opinion, 40 times less the environmental damage of single use. The only part of our... Why am I waffling on about our business? You haven't asked about that. Hang on, let me go back to your question in a minute. So yeah, how do you get your minerals without your microplastics? So you either buy water in glass bottles, and if it's single use, then shame on you environmentally. You either buy water in glass bottles that's reusable glass bottles. You go to findaspring.org and you go and fill up your own containers. Glass containers, obviously, you wouldn't be putting them in plastic if you're worried about microplastics. I think the whole microplastic thing has been absolutely blown out of all proportion, in my opinion. Microplastics have been around for decades, and it appears that the human body might be able to process them without too much difficulty, thank God, which is obviously a stroke of luck. I find it really irritating that we only hear about microplastics in bottles of water. We don't hear about it in pop, in milk, in any other plastic. Imagine what's going on in a pot noodle. Imagine, you're pouring boiling hot water into a plastic container that's cheap as chips, and you're stirring it around, scraping you. And we only hear about flipping. Apparently, coffee cups and pizza boxes, if you're really worried, is the major source. But anyway, that's why I did Crag. That's a brilliant question. It's an honour for me. Thank you, everyone.